corsage of gardenias. I love gardenias, and so Joe would buy me a wrist corsage of gardenias. I think it was for Valentine's Day, and it's just a tradition, and he surprised me with it. And I was surprised that people actually saw it on my wrist. But I guess with a zoom lens, you see everything.
I think it's important to, and Jill does the same thing, let each other know, no matter how much time has gone by, how I got criticized for saying this a while ago, but they were asking me a couple years ago. She comes down the step and still goes a little boom, 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 boom. For real. You know, everybody says marriages are 50-50. Well, that's not true. Sometimes you have to be 70-30. Sometimes when somebody's down, the other one steps in. And the good news for us has been, thank God, that when I'm really down, she steps in, and when she's down, I'm able to step in. And we've been really supportive of one another. And it's just, I know, and you know, I've read all that data as well, you know, about families under pressure, but it's been, that's why it's so important that I'm glad she kept her profession. No, I really mean it. I think it's really important that she, you know, she's an educator, and I've supported it all the way through from the time although she took off 2 years when we first got married because the boys were little, but, you know, I think it's important she have the things that she cares a great deal about, her independence and yet we share each other's.
Yeah, and I think, you know, with all that we've been through together as a couple, you know, the highs, the lows, you know, certainly tragedy and loss. You know, there's that quote that says sometimes you become stronger in the fractured places. And I think over time, you know, that's what we hope for. That's what we try to achieve.
I think we each could have done our jobs like the other, but not as well as we do them, and not with this kind of, I'm not sure, but for Jill, I don't think I would have stayed involved in public life. You know, Jill came along at a really important point and put the family back together. I mean, she's the glue that held it together, and I knew that I wanted to marry her shortly after I met her, and that's not a joke. Everybody, one of your former colleagues was doing an event on, I was doing an interview in the executive office building when I first became vice president. It was Valentine's Day, and the night before, Jill got the maintenance people to bring a 16-foot ladder in, and she took that stuff with that kind of paint the kids use in their school.
Poster paint.
And she put in every pane. There's like 20 panes in each of these big 4 windows that are 15 feet high. And she drew hearts and says, "Joe loves Jill," not Jill loves Joe. And so we're coming down those steps. The press was coming down, and I got a phone call. My press person got a phone call saying, would I go on? I think it was CBS the next morning on Valentine's Day. They said, do it. So I went on. It was a reporter. We're sitting there getting ready for the interview. You know, it was dark in the room in the second floor of the executive office building, and we're kind of knee to knee back when we didn't have to wear a mask. And the reporter looked at me and she said, "Everybody says you and your wife have a great love affair." And I said, "I think so, but," I said, "everybody knows I love her more than she loves me." And she looked at me and said, "That's what everybody says." That's what everybody says. But at any rate, but it really, you know, it's not that we don't fight and argue sometimes, but I don't know. I just think I'm just lucky.
Well, after 43 years of marriage, there's really not that much more to fight about.
We're going to wait for the time to